All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Not a Sheep podcast. My name's Narwhal. I'm here with my buddy Matt.
What's up?
Matt, let's just get right into it. What have you been listening to this week?
So this week, I've been listening to a lot of new music. I think I mentioned it last week, but Pink Sweats dropped a new EP. Jaden Smith has a new song called Cabin Fever.
Okay.
I really like that song.
Did you like his last, his big album that he blew up? What's that one's called?
Sire.
Yeah. Did you like that one?
Yeah, I thought that was a cool album. And then he also dropped Iris, which is like the same name backwards. But my favorite project from him was the mixtape he did in between. It was like the Sunset Tapes,
okay.
I think, something like that.
Did you see, I saw that he tweeted out that he has been editing a music video that they filmed for either Sire or what's the other one?
Iris.
I don't know I always forget what they're called. But yeah, so either one of those albums, he tweeted that he's been editing one of those music videos for like a year and a half.
Really?
And that he's editing it himself, but that's all he said. But I don't know.
Do you remember when he said that?
I saw it probably a few months ago.
Okay, because I think I don't remember what song it was, but he did drop a music video for a song, and I checked it out, and I was like, he didn't drop any new songs, and it was from Sire, which is 2017.
Okay,
so that might have been it. But yeah, it took him 3 years to get that music video out.
Either he's a really bad editor, or he just made the craziest music video ever.
It was pretty cool. I mean, there's a big meme about him always crying in his music videos. I don't know why it's a meme, but I think he did it in that video. It's a cool video.
Hey, I mean, he's an actor.
Yeah, true. I always forget that.
Yeah.
He's Will Smith's kid. But yeah, and then besides that, I've just been listening to Arizona Zervis has a new song, Night Rider, and then a little bit of the Logic album. It surprised me.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about that last week.
Yeah.
Just a few little fun facts about it or whatever. But overall, as a whole project, what did you think of it? Was it what you were expecting?
I mean, to be honest, I didn't really know what to expect because with his last 3 or 4 albums, it's kind of seemed like he's gotten lazy with his writing. And this one just surprised me because there's a lot of I love rap albums when you listen and the second time you hear it, the third time you hear it, every time you find a new stuff or new metaphors.
Yeah.
And you don't ever get that in Logic's music. Even his prime music, the lyrics aren't always that deep. They're not
very
always
easy
double
to
meanings.
Digest and for the average person could it's always a pretty literal meaning for most of songs.
And some people don't like that. Some people don't like having to digest albums and stuff like that. But I feel with rap music, that's important, is to be able to listen back over and over, and every time you find something new. And that was the first time I've ever really had that with Logic. So I thought that was cool to see him progress.
Yeah. Who would you say is kind of the polar opposite of Logic in that sense of who is a hip hop artist who is
every time you find something new?
Yeah.
I mean, Eminem is the king of triple, quadruple entendres and stuff like that. But his are more just using 50 million different ways to say I'm a better rapper than you. It's usually it's not always that deep, but I don't know, guys like Kendrick especially, because there's songs on To Pimp a Butterfly I listen to now and I'm I don't even know what it's about. And I've heard this song 200 times.
Yeah, for sure. What is your favorite song on the project? What's it called again?
No Pressure.
Okay, yeah, No Pressure. What's your favorite song?
I think my favorite song is Amen, which is the outro. Not the outro. There's a outro after, but it's the last song that's a full song. And I think that's just a really great musically. It's his goodbye, I feel like.
Yeah.
He's saying goodbye to his fans, but I don't know. There's a lot of, he's not really rapping that much on that song, but A to Z, that's the one where he's kind of rapping the alphabet. That one was cool. And also Soul Food 2, I think that's the best I think Logic has probably ever rapped, ever.
Yeah. Being someone who makes music and produces, when you look at a certain project and find your favorite song, do you kind of go for the song that you think technically is the most skillful and the most well made, or do you go for just which one made you feel the most? Because I feel that the average listener picks whatever song they just feel like they like it for whatever reason. But do you go about it differently? Do you think about, all right, well, I really like that one. That one's a banger, but I'm going to say this one's my favorite because it's technically maybe better.
I do it. If I do it off feel. Like
Yeah.
I think Amen is the one that I like the most because of the way it makes me feel, because it's like it's kind of like sad. It's like watching your favorite player play his last game. It's sort of like
Yeah.
I kind of look at Logic as like an NBA player I really liked in college, which would be like his mixtapes, and then like had a really good first 3 or 4 seasons in the NBA, and then like he got hurt or something, kind of like a Derrick Rose.
Oh, I like this metaphor,
Yeah,
man.
and then he kind of like sucked a little bit for a while.
And then Derrick Rose had that
Dropped
one
50
game where
points.
he dropped 50.
This felt like watching Logic drop 50 points.
and then he's just done.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't kept
Is
up
Derrick
with
Rose
Derrick
still
Rose.
playing?
I think, yeah.
Oh,
I think so.
okay.
I don't think he's retired, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's still dropping 50.
Okay.
But that's
Yeah.
how I kind of look at it.
Okay.
But like Soul Food, looking at it from an objective, like I feel like that's the best technical song on it, because the first half is just like there's so many lyrics that I just didn't understand the first time. Like he has a line where he says like diacritical lifestyle, I'm always overseas. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what that means, but a diacritical character is like the symbol you put over letters when they're in a different language. So like
Oh, like when there's like an accent
yeah,
over
like
a
the
letter?
accent you put over that's a diacritical character. So he's
Whoa.
basically saying like a diacritical lifestyle, I'm always overseas. Like he's always in different countries, and in different countries you use diacritical characters, but they're also the characters you put overseas. So it's like a triple entendre.
Dude.
So it's like stuff like that Logic isn't really known for in his
Yeah.
other music. It's kind of just really good flow and kind of straight to the point lyrics.
yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. Well,
What have you been listening to?
I have been listening to a bunch of different, just like not really full projects, other than Nas, who we're going to talk
Mhm.
about in a little bit, but just kind of like a bunch of random singles. Futuristic dropped one called Skid Row,
Oh yeah.
which I really like.
That was cool.
But
yeah.
speaking of that, I wanted to give the people an update on the Futuristic contest.
Yeah.
Because it's over now.
Yeah, it's over now.
So what happened?
So we did not win, unfortunately, but I thought it was really cool that we made it into the top 10 and he posted about us. And it was just cool to see how many people were like commenting, and like there was a lot of people that like wanted like the video to win. But what's the guy's name? Samad the Savage or something like that. He's super dope. He won.
Yeah.
Like congrats to him. He's got a pretty big fan base. He's got like 20,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on the album, but that's super cool.
Yeah. And have you kind of like, you definitely gained a bunch of new fans just from that contest.
Yeah, it was
right?
super awesome. I think I gained like 300 or 400 followers on Instagram, which is
Yeah,
kind of insane. But
That's sweet. Did Futuristic ever like reach out or like message
no,
you?
he didn't say
Aw.
anything. That would have been cool, but I don't know. I think it was just really cool that he posted about it multiple times, and it's nice knowing that like one of my favorite rappers has heard me rap and
Yeah.
maybe might know my name. If he ever sees it pop up again, he might recognize it from his contest.
Yeah. And I think it's just really cool that there are artists out there that are really trying to like give back or like just
Yeah.
help other people out, because
There's-
not many people that are like really big are just putting on artists with like 1,000 followers.
For sure. And I think one of the coolest things about the contest is like once the first time he posted about me, like me and some of the other artists started DMing each other, and like me and Alcott, who was the guy rapping in the pool, he's
Yeah.
super dope. Me and him have been talking about like getting a song in, and like I don't know, you kind of just like make friends with other artists once you're put on the same platform.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, moving on, my playlist this week has been Futuristic single Skid Row. Fast and Furious
Oh,
dropped
did they
a
drop
new
a new
soundtrack, which I guess means there's another Fast and the Furious movie coming out.
I don't know. Maybe
I think
there's
it's
a
like
lot.
the 10th one. But yeah, so there's like some songs on there with like Tory Lanez and Kevin Gates and just a few from there. And then Russ has had a couple singles. He's had like
Yeah, I
3 in the
think
last
3, yeah.
3 weeks now. Been listening to all of them. What was the music video he dropped yesterday? One More Chance?
Is
Or
that the one?
Still?
Is that the one featuring the fans?
One More Chance is featuring his fans.
Yeah.
Which
do
he
you
made.
know about that?
No, I saw he said he made it on Instagram Live.
I was on that live. I wasn't like commenting anything, but I wanted to talk about this. It was pretty cool. It was just he like tweeted, if this gets 3,000 retweets, it was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I'll hop on live and record a song with you guys. And so like people were commenting like advice on the song, and he would like take what they were saying. They'd be like, he would record like a certain ad lib and they'd be like, no, keep that, delete that. And so like he was taking their opinion. So that's why it says like featuring the fans.
Yeah.
But,
But like, was it just their critiques and advice, or was there ever like, did he ever have people like actually send in like?
I don't know.
Oh.
But I think they probably only made like one critique. It was something about him like laughing as an ad lib, and they were like, he's like, no, I'm gonna delete that, and everyone's like, no, keep it.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It's a really cool way to engage the fans.
Yeah, it'd be cool. There's oh, I forget. I think they're like a worship group. But they had, I forget their name. I'd have to look it up. But they did a thing where they had anyone like email in vocals of like, I don't know if it was of different songs or vocals of like the same song, and they did like a mix match of like I think there was probably 100 different people, and they put all their vocals into like a song and they released it.
That's really cool.
One of my friends actually got on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's dope. I know Logic and what's his name, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the actor.
Yeah.
They did like a thing where they made like a beat and like a really basic drum beat, and then Logic rapped like half of a verse, and then they made it open to like the public where anyone can send in audio of them playing an instrument, singing, rapping, or whatever. And so then they ended up making like a full 5-minute song with like 15 people playing instruments and like a guy rapping, like 10 people singing, and then they like flew them all out and like filmed a music video with all of them.
Dang, when was this?
A year or two ago, 2018, 2019.
That's so sick.
Yeah, and that's just a cool concept. I feel like the whole like live stream and like fan engagement side of that is going to be what's taking over, because like a lot of people are moving to Twitch. Like not just like Logic is the most recent one, but I've noticed that with like Illmind has moved to Twitch, and like pretty much every day he like live streams and does like beat making tutorials, and then like gives a lot of advice. He'll always have like new guests on it, and I just think that's kind of like the future of how everything's working on social media.
Yeah. And Twitch is more than just gaming now.
Yeah.
Like it's getting to a point where there's beauty live streamers who do like makeup. There's like people who there's like a whole like just chatting section where you just talk, and there's like now obviously like Illmind doing like music stuff. And I don't know, I agree. I think Instagram Live has been really big, and now it's getting to a point where like I think Twitch will be a takeover, especially because the way
you can like actually engage, not just through the chat. There's like things you can do.
Yeah, and you can monetize it a lot better than you can like Instagram or something.
Definitely. I know Kenny Beats is big on Twitch, and he does a lot of like beat stuff, and he'll do like beat contests, like people can submit if they like subscribe and stuff. And
like live concerts. There's people on Twitch who aren't even professionals, but people who are just good drummers, and they'll just like they just like go off and do a whole concert by themselves.
Yeah.
And like they have like a couple hundred people watching on Twitch. And especially since COVID, there's been a lot of like one of my favorite artists, Young Pinch, has been doing a lot of like probably done like 3 or 4 different live performances like at his house or like. But one of them during COVID, they did a live stream concert, but it was like a full production, and he was out at like his pool, but they got like a production crew to get like, you know, all these different camera angles and like moving shots, and it really kind of felt like you were at a concert. It was cool. That's
dope. The one thing I don't like is like Instagram Live. Especially if you do like a 2-person one, the quality for like the second person drops a ton. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to like really get the sound quality through, but I'm pretty sure Twitch is a lot more like high quality sound and everything. Yeah.
All right. So Russ, Futuristic. I've been listening to Matt Mogg, his single called Crazy.
Forgot about that.
Yeah. And then DaBaby dropped a deluxe version of his album. There was a few songs on there. He has a song called Blind with Young Thug, which is really catchy. But yeah, that's about it. And then Nas.
Yes, sir.
So do you want to talk about it?
So yeah, this week we wanted to do another throwback. Is that what it's called? Throwback album review?
We don't really have a name, but yeah, throwback album review.
Yeah, so basically we want the whole segment is we just want to go back and review albums. It could be 6 months old. It could be this one was in 1994. So we listened to the album Illmatic, which is historically known as like one of the albums that really changed rap music, because before this it was a lot more like guys like Rakim and also like the more like corny side of like the late 80s rappers, you know, like the hip hop, the hip, like that kind of style, you know.
Who was in the corny style? Because I'm not. I listen to everything, but you listen to a lot more hip hop than I do.
Yeah.
What was? I didn't even know there was like a corny side of the 80s hip hop.
Not that this song is corny at all, but like Curtis Blow, like like that kind of more you know, the basketball song.
Yeah.
Like that kind of was a popular sound of like what rap music was.
Okay.
And more kind of like what Will Smith and like the Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff, like that kind of sound. This kind of took it more in a not like lyrical way, but it's in the more natural sounding, a lot closer to how like a J. Cole sounds today, if that makes sense.
And so he was the first one to do that?
I wouldn't he's credited as like being one of the first guys. Like Illmatic is one of the most like revolutionary albums.
Yeah.
But like Rakim is also looked at as being one of the first guys to kind of start that lane.
Okay. So was Will Smith's music considered like corny, or was it not till later that people kind of like differentiated between that?
I think it was considered kind of corny back then, but it was really popular.
Yeah.
So like it wasn't like people thought it was bad.
Yeah.
But like now especially it's looked back on as like being super corny. But it's just because he wasn't rapping about like violence, and he was
taking himself that seriously.
Yeah, it was more like a lot of it, pretty much all of his songs are like comedic stories.
Yeah.
And so like obviously that's not going to be taken as serious as like an NWA.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He was like the Lil Dicky of the 80s.
Yeah, in a way, which is funny because they're both like rappers that dropped music from Philadelphia, and now they have TV shows, and that's kind of taken over
they're
their
both
career.
from Philly?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Why'd you choose this album? Just because of how like important it is for hip hop?
Yeah, especially because not that we're only a hip hop show, but I feel like obviously what we talk about is hip hop based. I feel like we need at some point to just talk about some of the biggest albums in hip hop history, and this is known as being one of the most influential ones. And with our name also being Not a Sheep, Nas, I feel like we got to pay our dues a little bit.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and this is also, I don't listen to a ton of like 90s hip hop, but this is like the one album that I consistently have like, that I can listen through consistently, like all 10 songs I like. And I don't know, I feel like I learned a lot from it.
Yeah. So I'll give you my initial thoughts.
Yeah.
And then I want you, because I think you'll have a lot more to say about it than I will.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, when we did our first one, it was a Mike Posner album.
Yeah.
And you said like, you thought it, like you could tell it's like well made, but it's not really like your style.
Exactly.
I kind of felt the same way, but like, it just sucks because this is an album that like, I realize it's important, and I realize like, that it's really good. I can listen to it and be like, these are all amazing songs. But it's like, I think it comes down to what you were saying is like, if you don't relate to a song, it's harder for you to like truly like love it.
Sure.
And I just feel like it's so hard for me to relate to this type of music because obviously wasn't even born yet.
Didn't grow up in New York.
Completely different lifestyle.
Yeah.
In every way. Like I would have nothing in common with Nas. And so it just sucks because like I have let me pull up the album. I have 3 of the songs that stood out to me that I like put in my playlist.
Okay.
And not that the other 7 are bad, but it's just like I don't relate to this at all.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sucks because it's like I want to put them on repeat, but they just don't like grab me like my attention that way.
And I feel the same way about like definitely don't feel like I can relate to what he's talking about. But the thing I really like about it is it's sort of like a really good movie to me where, you know, if you're watching a really good movie about like, I don't know, like World War II, like it's not that you're relating to it. It's that the story is kind of making you feel like you're there.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole vibe of it makes you feel like you're actually witnessing what he's talking about. And so that's like I feel like we see it the same way, but that's like how I connect to it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think like for you, since you're so into the production of music and so into hip hop, you can probably better than I can like really feel like you're almost watching a movie.
Yeah,
And
it's like we're paying attention to different stuff.
Yeah, and like with film, I can watch movies from the 60s and connect with them and realize why these are important movies.
Yeah.
Whereas
like I like movies, but I feel like if I was watching a movie from the 60s, I would just be like, why is the acting not as good? Like why doesn't this
like why are they talking
not
like
as good?
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like a similar thing here. But I love New York State of Mind and Life's a Bitch. Those are my two that stood out to me, but like I don't know, like I like them all. It's just I wish I could say I loved it, the whole thing, but it's just like I listened to it and I'm like, that was good, but I don't have this urge to like play it on repeat.
For sure. Yeah. I wanted to ask you because Nas is like one of J. Cole, Kendrick, Logic's, like they all cite him as like being one of their favorite rappers and biggest inspirations. And I wanted to know if you caught how many, when you were listening through it, like how many times like this album has been like quoted, or like lyrics have kind of been taken and like used their own way in like new albums. Like for example, on Logic's Young Sinatra songs, he starts every single one of them quoting the song Life's a Bitch.
Oh, what is he? So like, what's an example? Like, what does he say in one of them?
So on Young Sinatra 4, he takes the actual hook and just samples it, but it's like a lot of little stuff that like you probably wouldn't notice, but like the song Intermission on The Incredible True Story, like Logic starts like his second verse with I woke up early on my born 25, it's a blessing, and then Nas starts his verse with I woke up early on my born day, I'm 20, it's a blessing. Like they kind of start the same way. And shoot, actually I'm gonna pull this up real quick.
That's fine.
I don't want to misquote it, but
I did notice. So like this was my first time really diving into the album, and I did notice there was one time that I didn't know why it like sparked something in my mind, but there was a line and I'm like, I've heard this line before. It sounded
familiar, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it's the line where he's like visualizing the realism of life and actuality.
Yeah.
Like Logic starts literally every single Young Sinatra song, like the ones that are all like Young Sinatra 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
With that line. And that's just like one of the lines in Life's a Bitch.
Oh.
It's just like a lot of little stuff like that. But
then do other artists, they'll also take like lines from this album?
And I like J. Cole. I mean, J. Cole made the whole like Let Nas Down song.
Yeah, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
And like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but after he dropped that, Nas he did a remix of that song called Made Nas Proud. Like saying like you don't have to feel bad about the song you did because you didn't let me down. You made me proud.
When did he drop that song?
Like right after, I think.
Oh, is it a single? Like you can go listen to it?
No, it's a remix. Like it's like he just rapped on the Let Nas Down beat, and he called it Made Nas Proud.
But I mean,
it's like on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
In that Let Nas Down, that song from J. Cole, he says there's some line about like, you might know it better than me, but he says something like Pac was Jesus, Nas wrote the Bible or something.
Yeah.
Would you say that most hip hop artists now like would agree with that statement? Like is Tupac and Nas like the two most important people?
I think Jay-Z is probably more relevant now than Nas is, because it's Nas's career is like this is all debatable, but like most people would look at his career as like his first album is Illmatic, and that's like one of the probably 5 greatest hip hop albums of all time. Then his next album was It Was Written, and that's also still considered like a really great album, like a 8 or 9 out of 10. But after that, it's not that he like fell off, but like he never had an album that was as revolutionary.
Yeah.
And Jay-Z became really popular around the time when his albums kind of became more like, like this is another really great album, but it's not really changing the game the way Illmatic did.
Yeah.
And so I think Jay-Z is looked at as being like the artist that's had the best longevity throughout his career. And so of those two, like those two are like the only, I'd say, I mean, there's other guys for sure. Like you can't not talk about like a Snoop Dogg or something, but rappers from the 90s that are still relevant today.
Yeah. So honestly, that's kind of all the thoughts I had on it. I just feel like it's one of those albums where like I just don't feel like I have the right to like want like I don't feel like I'm ever gonna be like critique an album
For sure.
especially since I don't make music. I can't critique anything. But like I don't even have that many thoughts to give on it really, because it's like I don't know what else to say. Like I know it's good, but like I don't have much to offer here. But what are your thoughts on it, like overall? And
Well, okay, so I think it's just really interesting because every time I listen to it, I just hear the two guys I hear through him are like J. Cole and Logic. Like I feel like Logic kind of takes a lot of his inspiration from like, I don't know the right word for this, but I feel like Nas's flow is kind of like, it's a slower flow, but he uses a lot of like big words to paint pictures, and like he just says things in really interesting ways. It's not like he's just going to be like, I was walking down the street. It's going to be like a really deep metaphor for like, it's always a really poetic like wording. And I feel like Logic kind of tries to do that a little bit too, but he obviously has a different like delivery. And J. Cole, I feel like has a pretty similar he sounds similar like sonically. And I feel like the reason this album is so important is especially with like J. Cole, because like if there was no Nas, like there would be no J. Cole. Yeah, all the rappers that we consider like the ones that are keeping like the lyrical game alive, like keeping like actually rapping popular. Yeah, they're all huge like Nas inspirations.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I would agree with you. When I listen to that, I feel like I'm listening to just like a different version of J. Cole kind of. Sure, and it seems like J. Cole is Nas, but like just slowly over the years, like if like the newer version of hip hop has kind of seeped in to J. Cole's music. And like I don't know, I think that's really, really cool and really interesting, because when you listen to like Middle Child is much more like modern, feels like sound. Modern and feels like there was maybe inspiration from like the newer hip hop. But then if you listen to like, I don't know, what would you say is his like
the 2014 Forest Hills Drive, something like, even like a song like Wet Dreams, like the sampling behind that is very like 90s, but it's like cleaned up in a modern way, I feel like.
I don't know, I guess what do you like take away from it when you listen to it, or like why is it so important for you, other than the fact that like it has influenced modern popular artists, but like why do you like it so much?
I mean, I'm not gonna act like it's an album I like listen to every day, but like I think, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like when it comes to like inspiration, the reason a lot of people that if I were to like make a song inspired by a song that came out last year, that would be considered like biting or like copying. But like the way I feel like culture works is like, especially with like style and music, is like every 20 years, let's say, it like trends kind of start to come back. It's like how people now kind of dress like people did in the 90s. But it's like if you were to go back to like when we were like, if you were in middle school, it was more of a like a baggy shorts, shorts cover the knees, and now it's like goes back to, I don't know. And I feel like in music, everything's like culture, everything's like a culture trend, and I feel like things start to come back. And I feel like guys like J. Cole are gonna be like they're always the artists that are like on top. So I feel like that's just, I don't really know where I'm going with this now, but
do you feel like when you make your music, do you get inspired by Nas's music? Like, is there times where you feel like
for sure
you do things in your music to kind of like pay homage, or like as you took something as inspiration that he did?
Definitely. And I feel like if you just listen to this album, it's like, think about how it's structured. It's like every song is like 3, maybe even 4 verses of like 16 to 32 bars. Like there's no like shortage of inspiration in like the verses and how well written they are, and like how poetic it is. And I feel like the biggest thing in rap that people don't get today is it's all about saying things in a creative way. It's not 100% about what you're saying, because you could say the same thing someone else said, but if you say it in a new way, you're saying something new. And that's like what Nas is, I feel like.
And to touch on what you just said, it's very like a dense album. It's only 10 songs, but like you said, every song is long, and it's like he has a lot to say in every song. And Like I was listening to it while I was working out, and I got to a point where I was like, how is this the same song?
Yeah.
It's been like 5.5 minutes and it's like still going. Whereas I don't know, you just don't see that a whole lot anymore.
Yeah, and another thing I think is really interesting. I don't know if you caught this, but he was like, when this album came out, I think he was 20, but he was working on it, like writing verses from the time he was like 16. So a lot of this is like a 16 or 17-year-old growing up.
That's crazy. I didn't know he was 20 when he dropped this.
And I think the majority of it was recorded when he was 19 and 20. So it's like he's literally my age.
That's actually insane that obviously he's older now, but the fact that a 20-year-old kind of is like the inspiration for a whole generation.
Mm-hmm.
And even like if J. Cole or Kendrick is inspired by, like, let's say in a year, like Kendrick drops another album and he was inspired for some of the songs based on Nas's albums.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's like how old is Kendrick? Like mid 30s?
Yeah, mid 30s, I
or
think.
early 30s or something?
30s, 33.
It's like a 33-year-old being inspired by a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Because usually 20-year-olds don't have a whole lot to say about like life, or
exactly.
they're not that mature yet.
And I found this video of like, I think it's like a 70-year-old like woman that's a poet.
Yeah.
And she was breaking down a lot of the verses on this album. She doesn't even listen to rap, but just on like how it holds up with like some of the best poetry in the world.
Oh,
just like
wow.
how everything is worded and how deep some of the metaphors are.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
Because I've seen I'm sure, I don't know if you know who Ben Shapiro is.
Yeah.
You've probably seen his stuff. He's like very controversial on Twitter and stuff, but he has these, I don't know, I feel like sometimes he just tries to be controversial on social media, but
yeah, I could
he
see
tweeted
that.
saying rap isn't music, and a lady responded to it, and she was a like professional linguist or something.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave him like a full breakdown of like explanation on why it is music and why it's like kind of like what that lady did. Is you can literally break it down, and it's like a really amazing art form.
For sure. Yeah. And I just think that's so cool because it's like that relates to what other time in like rap do you really see that other than like Kendrick in 2017 winning a Pulitzer Prize for the writing on Damn? Like I think that's crazy.
So what's your favorite song? If you got to pick one.
If I have to pick one, probably it's like the most famous song on it, but The World Is Yours. That was the first one I ever heard because it's funny because it was on the 2K13.
Yeah.
And so like that's where I first heard it. And then I was like, I just knew the song, didn't know who it was. And then like a few years later, I think it was my cousin played that song. And I was like, oh, I know this
2K.
one. And he's like, you know Nas? And I was like, yeah, of course. And then because of that, I went and did my research. And I also had a teacher at Skyline who was like, one of my friends was like, oh, he knows a lot about rap and was talking about me. And so he started playing rap songs and testing me, seeing if I knew who it was. I got every single thing except for Nas. And he's like, you can't say you know anything about rap if you don't know about Nas.
So you went
so that
back.
made me go back. And I was like, shout out to Mr. Bucher.
Cool. Well, so this is kind of transitioning away from Nas, but so in the same way that Nas was kind of the inspiration for modern rap.
Yeah.
I also saw a tweet the other day that said, I think it might have been from Adrian Strezzo or some like underground hip hop artist saying something like, without T-Pain, hip hop would not be what it is today.
For
and
sure.
that really like made me actually sit back and think like, wow, that's pretty true, because T-Pain's sound, like people gave him shit for like, oh my God, he's so much auto-tune.
Yeah.
But like, one, we've learned since then he's a very talented singer without auto-tune, but like that was his sound that he went with. And it's just crazy because I feel like Nas is inspirations for like some people, but in another way, T-Pain is
the Nas of modern day, like everyone, like Juice WRLD, whoever you want to say, like anyone that sings with auto-tune.
Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy to me that because T-Pain, like, he's famous, but he's not regarded on the same level as any of these other famous artists.
Exactly, but the weird thing is, do you know how many like hits he has? Like if you really look up how many like platinum songs he has, it's insane.
Yeah, and I don't know. I thought that was super interesting because I feel like he is just not talked about enough for...
He does not get his credit.
Yeah. T-Pain had his hits in like the 2000s, but I don't know. Do you think people maybe don't talk about him as much because he just... kind of like he hasn't been making as much popular music. Like he dropped an album a couple years ago, but I liked it, but some people didn't really like it a whole lot.
I mean, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, I don't know any of his new music, but like, it's not right that he doesn't, like, I feel like, get his credit for who he's inspired.
Yeah, but even that, like, just the fact that, like,
It's a
you make hip hop music.
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying that you make hip hop music, but like you're not really that into T-Pain's music.
Yeah.
Like I feel like everyone feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like hip hop, but I don't listen to a whole lot of T-Pain.
Yeah.
But without T-Pain, there would be no, like, hip hop wouldn't sound like what it sounds like
exactly.
right now. It's just weird. I feel like he's this, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like an NBA comparison. Like some guy who's like in the Hall of Fame, but like no one really talks about him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's kind of funny because Nas has like been talking a lot about how he's like really grateful for like how like memorable the album is, but he's like pretty annoyed by like that being the only thing he's kind of remembered for.
Yeah.
And like he put out a thing saying like for the 20th anniversary he did this big performance, like he went through the whole album with an orchestra performing, and it was like super dope. But then 5 years later they're like, it's the 25th anniversary, do it again. And like he just like didn't want to, and he's like put out a statement saying like super grateful for all the love, but like it's over. Like I've made 9 other albums and like countless other songs. Like like I don't want this to be the one thing I'm known for.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's gotta suck as an artist if you create something that's great, but then
the album is bigger than you almost.
Yeah, like and I'm sure he thinks his 9 other albums are great as well. Like he wouldn't put them out if he wasn't proud of them.
Especially it's his first album, so like you know how much he probably thinks he's progressed.
Yeah, and that would suck because you said earlier how like nothing ever really lived up to it.
Yeah.
But in his mind, I'm sure he thinks
he's like, look how much better I've gotten at writing. Look at all these better producers I'm working with now.
And not no one cares.
The producers he worked with on Illmatic are still some of the greatest producers of all time, but like how much those producers have progressed too.
Yeah.
But you know, Levi Hinson, I saw him talking about this, how a lot of his fans are super like they always say like, why don't you make songs like this? And it's like an album he dropped like 8 years ago when he was like 14.
Yeah.
He's like, why do you guys not see how much better I've gotten in my new music? Like, why aren't you listen? Like, my newest album is so much better than the one before, and that one is so much better than the one before.
Yeah, it's got to be tough if you get these. If you put out an album when you're like 19 and it's a certain sound, you get fans who like that sound and like that style, and then if you progress and you make a different style, and they don't connect with it anymore, even though you're better, it's like if that's not what they want to hear. That's gotta suck.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Have you ever had that where have you ever put out a song where you knew this song was better than a song from like a year before, but it like didn't get received as well, or like people didn't care as much or something?
Yeah, I kind of got 2 examples of that. One is kind of just every time I delete a song, I'm kind of like, everyone's like, why'd you take it off? Like, I love that song. And to me, I'm like, because my new stuff is better. I don't want that to be what I'm known for. But also, like, with this new one, especially because it's so different than anything else I've done. And it's like, I'm singing on it versus, like, just rapping. And I've, like, opened myself up because I'm singing on it to, like, new criticisms and stuff. So it's just different than, like, I don't always want to just get on a track and rap for 50 bars with no choruses. Like sometimes I want to just sing and talk about something funny, but I still have it in me to like want to go back to my old ways of like, I don't know, just rapping on a freestyle for 5 minutes.
I don't really have anything else. I mean, I have some underground drops we can talk about.
I got one thing that I really want to talk about.
Okay.
It's not Nas related, but have you heard the stuff with J. Cole wanting to go to the NBA?
Oh my god.
Because I heard about it like everyone else and was like, that's got to be like disrespectful to like NBA players. But so I don't know if you read, but J. Cole wrote a full article for the Players Tribune talking about how basketball has been like one of his dreams his whole life, but it's just been like a step. He's been like slightly less passionate about it as he has been with music. Yeah. So it's always kind of been like on the back burner. But it was interesting because he talked about how, so he went to St. John's in New York, and he went up there for music, like not to like study music, but to just be in New York so he can meet people. And he didn't go on a scholarship to play basketball. Like, I'm pretty sure he said that he got cut his freshman and sophomore year in high school, then barely made the team his junior year, and then was like a starter his senior year. So like guys that do that aren't like going to college to play basketball, especially like St. John's.
So
but
did he like walk on?
he tried to walk on,
Oh.
and his sophomore year, he didn't try his freshman year, but his sophomore year, he went to the tryout, got invited back, and there was like only 5 or 10 people got invited back, and there was like a few spots open. So J. Cole woke up the morning of the second tryout and was like, okay, it's like 5 guys for like 2 spots. I could go to this tryout and make it, but then I'm not going to have any time to work on music, and I'm kind of losing focus on why I'm actually here.
Yeah.
And just didn't even go to the tryout,
Okay.
which is like kind of, I don't know, like in my mind, I'm like, dang, that would have been interesting had he like been a college basketball player, but he probably wouldn't be the same J. Cole he is today.
Yeah. Oh, so he never played at St. John's?
No,
Because
but
I had always kind of heard that he did, and I just thought he did for some reason.
I think he just played pickup, which
Oh.
obviously doesn't count. But
Yeah.
but basically, then he got signed to Jay-Z a few years later, and he was kind of like, okay, like if I drop 3 albums, I'll be like one of the biggest rappers in like 3 years, and by then I might be able to like make some time for myself to like start training again, and
Yeah.
then like kind of chase the dream of
Yeah.
playing in the NBA. And that was when, or I think when he dropped the warm up was like around the time he got signed. And if you know anything about J. Cole's career, he didn't end up dropping his first album for a few years later. It took him a while to kind of get things going, and he wasn't really considered like a top rapper until like Born Sinner, I would say,
Yeah.
which is like 2013. So he's kind of starting to get old a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, the whole dream of making the NBA is starting to kind of go out the window.
Yeah.
But and then after he dropped Forest Hills Drive, that's when he was kind of like, if I still want to do this, like I kind of got to start training now.
Yeah.
And I think that was, and he kind of lost a little inspiration musically because he kind of like made it to the top.
Yeah.
And so he got back into basketball, and then
But Forest Hills Drive was
2014.
2014. So
I know
it's been 6 years. Like,
So then he said that after training, he kind of got back into music, made a few more albums, and then he didn't really regain his love for music until like 2018 or 19. But he still loves music, but like he really wants to train, and it's still something that's like in his mind like every day.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to be 40 and be like, wow, I really missed my opportunity. And J.
Yeah.
Cole's 35 right now.
yes, that's what I'm saying. Like so did he explain all that in his article for
No,
the
he
Players
didn't
Tribune?
really, like he kind of hinted at it, but he didn't really talk
Oh.
about
Did you
going to
read
the
the
NBA.
article?
What?
Did you read the article?
Yeah, I read the article. But Master P, who's, if you know, is an NBA player that actually signed and played in preseason. I don't remember for which team, but he like he's like the only rapper to really be in the NBA at some
Yeah.
point. And he's been like mentoring J. Cole. And he was saying J. Cole wants to go to the league and was asking him like, how difficult will it be? Like, I know nobody's going to take me serious if I try, but like, I want to do it. And I think he's going to try to do it. And that's what the whole campaign with Puma is, with his sneakers.
It's like called like Dreamer or Believe or
Yeah.
what's it
And
called?
if you rewatch all the commercials, I think it's Dreamer, but
Dreamer, yeah.
it's all about like him having the dream to make it to the league, and everyone
Yeah.
being like, no, that's not going to happen.
I mean, I don't know. Like J. Cole seems like a very dedicated, talented,
Yeah.
hardworking person. So I'm not gonna say it's not possible, but like, it seems like it's not possible.
I agree.
No, I mean, it's like, dude, even if he is super, super talented,
Mm-hmm.
super athletic,
It's the NBA.
he's 35 and it's the NBA. There's
Yeah.
not. How old's LeBron? Like 35, right?
Probably like the same age.
Like, I don't know how you could be 35 not playing competitive basketball for like 15 years.
He's 6'3", which is like a tall person, but that's Steph
like a
Curry
point guard.
size. Like
Yeah.
there's no way he's able to keep up with those guys. But apparently he's like really putting in the work. And you can look up videos of him like scrimmaging NBA players and him like hitting shots, but I don't think they're going to be going all out.
Yeah, that's
guarding
so
J.
much
Cole.
different. Like, and I think that, like, I've seen the clips of him playing in
Yeah.
these pickup games with like, I don't know if it's like D League guys or
Yeah.
NBA guys or whatever, but like, that's so much different than a real NBA game. And I think some people like don't get that. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, look, he can he's like making all these threes in these games against pros. Like he's obviously on their level. It's like, no,
That's not how it works.
It's not how it works. Like,
I completely agree with you, and I think that it's impossible. But I will say, I completely support him in trying.
Yeah, no, I support him. Like, I would buy a J. Cole jersey so
Dude,
quick.
Can you imagine if he like? That'd be cool if like Charlotte signed him, because that's like where he's like, that's the state where he's from. But like,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I think it can happen though, just because, like, why would, if they signed him, that'd be so good for like publicity and stuff like that. He doesn't
Like a
have to-
marketing
He
thing.
doesn't have to play. He can be like the crappy kid that everyone
Dude,
loves
but,
that
like-
comes off the bench for the last few minutes of the game.
I mean, I could see him maybe make it in the D League or
Yeah.
the G League now. Like he could.
But I don't know if he would want to do that.
Yeah, but it's like that's a stepping stone. Nobody
Yeah.
just gets to like join the NBA without like earning their stripes. you
Yeah,
know?
especially with this year being like a shortened, well, not a shortened season, but there's only so much of the season left.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was talking about like making it this year, but can you imagine if like the Lakers picked him up?
Dude.
They have the best record, and then like he's in the playoffs, and then he gets a ring.
Dude,
be impressive.
That would be the most insane thing if imagine they put him in like no they're down 20 in the fourth quarter, so they're like, all right, we're just
Let's
going to
put
take
him
out
in.
LeBron, we'll put in
Yeah.
J. Cole. And he goes off, they come back and he's on a hot streak. They're down by like 5 cuz he just made like
Just
10
keeps hitting
threes in a row,
threes.
or like 5 threes in a row. They keep him in. They're like, oh my god, put LeBron back in. LeBron's feeding him the ball, he just won't miss. They win the finals with J. Cole's threes.
That'd be insane. Okay, and also if he like made it next season, the All-Star game is all about votes, right? The starting lineup is all about like fans
Fan
vote.
votes.
Like
Oh, he
J.
would make
Cole
it.
would make the All-Star team. He'd be the only person in
Yeah.
existence to like perform at an All-Star game, and then like a few years later play in the All-Star game.
Yeah. But like, I mean, this is a cool dream, but at the end of the day, dude, you're 35.
He's 35. He doesn't have a lot of time.
If he was 24, I'd say maybe.
Well, I've
But,
always
like-
heard that he was like good, but not that good. Especially like I've heard that there's like better rappers that are at basketball than him.
Yeah.
But then I was looking up some clips, and he kind of surprised me. There's like him in the Celebrity All-Star game, like people throwing him oops and stuff.
Oh,
Like-
wait, J. Cole was in the Celebrity All-Star
I
game?
think so, and
Oh,
he was
okay.
like first signed, and he was younger. Like I'm pretty sure I saw a clip of Kevin Hart throwing him an alley oop,
Okay.
and I'm like, that surprised me because there's the clip of him like trying to dunk at the All-Star game and missing.
oh,
at the
yeah.
dunk- the dunk
I was
contest.
about to ask you, can he dunk? 'Cause-
I think he probably can. I don't know if he could in like a game against
Yeah.
NBA players, but
yeah.
still.
I mean, I think he might have to compromise on maybe like playing in Croatia or in
Yeah.
Sweden. Like that might be the closest thing he can get. But that would be cool if he goes and plays in like Norway or something.
yeah.
And you can buy like a J. Cole on like a jersey from this random Norwegian team.
But can you imagine having like, that'd be so cool. Like we were talking about this earlier, like his new shoes, and I'm like, to be honest with you, like I'm not a big sneaker guy, but I'm like, they don't look that cool, but because they're J. Cole, like every time I see them, they kind of grow on me. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that's just like being a fan. And I'm like, dude, if J. Cole made the NBA, I'd like totally get a jersey, like be rocking the shoes and be like the biggest fanboy.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Hey, I mean, I won't put it past him. I think it'd be cool. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess.
I wonder if he'd still drop music. Probably not, but
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on here to our segments we do at the end of every episode. Well, when possible, is Underground Drop of the Week.
yep.
So if you're new around here, the whole idea is that the show is called Not a Sheep because it's basically to try and find like music artists who are doing things different or maybe not always talking about the mainstream stuff, and hopefully give some people some recognition who are a little bit underground. So my first Underground Drop of the Week is a single called Surreal by Vino the Kid and Cam Blue. Now,
yep.
Cam Blue, but I don't know who Vino the Kid is, but I will say I'm going to go back and listen to more of his stuff. But this single is really good, and I actually have known about Cam Blue for a while. I think he only has like a couple hundred, maybe like 500 monthly listeners or something, but I think he's still in high school or college or something, but he's super talented, and he's one of those guys where like I've followed him for a while. I don't know how I found him, but it's just like I want to be there when he blows up.
For sure.
And I feel like everyone feels that way. If you find an artist when they have like 500 followers, like you want to follow their whole journey. And Cam Blue, I think, is really talented. So definitely check that out. And then the second underground drop of the week is called a song called Bent by Wow Eli, featuring Caleb Mitchell and Isaiah Ziv.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or Isaiah, is it Isaiah?
I think it's Isaiah. Yeah.
Now I've heard of Caleb Mitchell and Isaiah Ziv before this, but I don't even know who Wow Eli is. But
I've seen him. He's dope. Yeah.
Yeah. The song is really good, and it's just like a really cool combo of guys because those are Caleb Mitchell is kind of in that circle of those artists that you really like Adrian Strezzo and Isaiah Ziv and like all those guys. So I was intrigued, and I have to say, Wow Eli is pretty damn good. So I've been going back and listening to like their other music, and I just think you guys should check it out.
For sure. Yeah, they're super dope.
All right, well, Matt, that's all I have for this week. This was fun. Guys, if you're new around here or you haven't left a review yet, you should go on the Apple Podcast app. Hey, you too. Go leave a review. we've had two of Matt's buddies are sitting over there. We got off a live camera.
Studio audience.
But yeah, so if you guys are new around here, leave a review. It helps us out a lot. The more reviews we get, the more people see the show on the Apple Podcast app. So with that being said, there's new episodes every single Monday. Each episode alternates. So this week, obviously, is me and Matt. Next week, we'll have a guest with us. So if you guys want to check out our past episodes, last episode was one with Matt's buddy Brendan, and before that was this rapper named Blue Lane, and before that was a really talented singer named Casman. So go check them out. But Matt, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at @TheMattMogg. It's MattMoggg.
Yep, you guys can follow me at Hey Narwhal on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, you can check out our other podcast. It's a comedy podcast called Peak to Middle School. It's filmed in the same studio here. There's a little bit different setup, different vibe. It's me and my buddy Kyle. Matt's been on it 2 or 3 times now. So check that out. It'll be linked in the description. Also, there's a video version of every single episode on YouTube. So if you guys prefer that, you want to watch it on your couch or something, check that out. And with that being said, we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.